What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on Teen Mom 2 Season 9B, Episode 28. Leah sits down on her front porch to tell her sister Victoria and her appalling hair about hooking up with Jeremy again. Seriously, what was going on with Victoria's hair? It looked like she got bludgeoned on the top of the head and just let it bleed out and dry over her blonde hair like it was a choice. Also on the scene, I'm so sick and tired of hearing about Leah and Jeremy. It's just such a boring storyline no one cares about. We already know it doesn't really go anywhere. Leah brings up Jeremy potentially joining the girls and her over in Hawaii, and then Victoria asks her why Jeremy would be going, and then Leah claimed that he volunteered to go. It was his idea, as if we didn't just watch her last week, like playing with her hair, drink in hand, flirting with him, inviting him to come along, like trying to really seal the deal there. And speaking of Jeremy, here he comes strolling up the front of the house carrying their daughter Addie, and Addie is pretending to be asleep. Like, it's pretty obvious that she's tired, yes, but not asleep, because you see her eyes open like every now and again whenever she observes a bit of tea. And so ever so ignorant and oblivious and just obsessed with her sister's dating life and bedroom life, Victoria asked Jeremy, were you hooking up with Leah? Like, why do you care as a sister? That is so gross. And Jeremy, holding his daughter, who's more than old enough to be aware of what this situation is about, goes, oh yeah, I banged your sister's brains out last night. And then Addie's eyes open up and I'm like, oh my God, even if she were dead asleep, this is such a disrespectful conversation to have while holding this child. The whole thing just gave me the heebie-jeebies. It was incredibly trashy, to say the least. And so after Jeremy puts Addie in the house, Leah comes out on the porch in her tightest top, tightest jeans, and then she's with her hair, which I love, by the way. I love the dark hair on her. She's like, so Jeremy, am I gonna be seeing you tonight? And she's trying to secure that next D appointment, and Jeremy's like, yeah, maybe, or whatever, we'll kind of see, we'll play it by ear. Meanwhile, in Dover, Kail asked all of her baby daddies for permission to bring the kids to Hawaii for a whole entire month, y'all. And these generous men all said yes, with the exception of Jo. And the reason that Jo said no was because one of the days of the Hawaii trip was the 4th of July, and that's his holiday. And I guess he was planning a cookout or something like that with his family. And so Kail tried to compromise with him by offering up Christmas in exchange, which to me, I feel like is the better deal. 4th of July versus Christmas, especially to a kid. To me, I always thought Christmas was the more important holiday, the iconic holiday of the freaking year. So I was quite shocked that he turned it down, but he is well within his rights, especially because we all know that Kail is not very flexible when the roles are reversed. And this seems to be a pattern with her, because I could have sworn, correct me if I'm wrong, but last season she did the exact same thing where she wanted to take Isaac on a trip with the rest of the kids, and it happened to fall on Jo's day, and then Jo said no, and then she got upset and said that she wouldn't buy his daughter a Christmas gift. I could have sworn that was over a vacation, but they vacation so freaking much I'm losing track. Anyway, Jo saying no is not bothering Kail one bit. She already booked Isaac's plane ticket, and so she sits down with the boys over pizza to talk about the trip and how she's going to bring some help to take care of Luck so that she can spend a lot more time with the boys, so it won't be a disaster like Mexico was. And so Lincoln was like, oh, you're going to get a babysitter? Well, why don't you get Chris to come? Well, Link, first of all, we need to get texts back from this man before we can invite him to holidays with the family. Slow your roll now. Down south in Florida, Briana FaceTimes her boyfriend John to, catch back up with him. And I have to say, it is my pet peeve when people call me like this, the way she called John. It was so low energy. She FaceTimes him, she picks up the phone, and she's sitting there like this. Hey, what are you up to? I'm not up to much. Oh, well, Stella's birthday's coming. I hate with a burning passion when people call me all low energy like that. I cannot, I am so tempted to hang up on people when they call me like that. Call me when you wake up, because I don't want to listen to you draw out your words or whatever. Call me like you're alive. Damn. No wonder the guy was not all that interested in the conversation. So she's like, Stella's birthday's coming up. I'm wondering if you want to come. And so the boyfriend, John, is hardly even paying attention to her. He's looking around here, there, and everywhere. We're just looking up his nose and at the whites of his eyes, And so she felt like the vibe was all the way off, but it was you weren't doing much to help the vibe by speaking so low energy. most people don't want to be on a phone call like that, like look alive chick. So anyway, she hangs up the phone with him, and she's not really like satisfied with the way it went, like I mentioned. And the producers ask her, like, why wasn't there that much like eye contact in that conversation? And like he just seemed like he was drifting away or whatever. And Brie said that she felt like the energy, the vibe of their relationship has been a little bit off ever since they came back from the Dominican Republic, just because when they were in the Dominican Republic, they got so used to spending a certain amount of time together, and so it was hard to return to the whole long distance relationship situation when they returned back home. And she feels like it's causing the relationship to hit a lull and become a little bit dull, which I don't blame her for. It does happen in relationships, especially a long distance one. Like, God bless people who can keep those alive, because I can't. Like, I do not have the skills for it. Stage 5 clinger over here. Now we're in a new state with Chelsea. She and her bobby pins head over to Chicago for the launch party for her new bag that she designed with Itsy Ritsy. At the beginning of the season, we saw her celebrate like creating a full line with Itsy Ritsy, like diaper bags and stuff like that. And she wanted to create another bag, and she wanted to have like a lot more input in the design process this time. And you know, the bag came to fruition, and they decided to throw a launch party for the occasion. And so she, her bobby pins, and Cole head on over to Chicago. They also bring 2 friends as well. And I just have to say, like, it's amazing to see her branching out. Like, I think she's one of the few people on the show who hasn't really branched out all that much over the years with the platform. Like I always say, Kayla is like the #1 hustler. Like, Vera tries, but like she's kind of misguided. But it's nice to see Chelsea doing something that she's so passionate about, and it's like so in line with who she is. So it's great to see that. And you know, also congratulations on managing to have more than 2 bobby pins at one time. Jealous. Next, things get a little bit dark as Shawn needs some extra crack money, so he shoots a solo scene with his friend complaining about Jade, quote unquote, keeping Khloe from him, and quote unquote thinking he's on drugs. Okay, and he's like, you know what, like, my daughter being kept away from me is like the most hurtful thing ever. I was a stay-at-home dad. Like, stay-at-home dad, really? Like, stay-at-home dads like very actively raise their children, but this guy, we saw while he was still living with Jade that he slept all day long as the daughter was like roaming around the house with Jade watching her. Like, stay-at-home dad, you were not. Like, you were just in bed, passed out, like in basically every single scene. So let's stop that. And then I kind of also feel like, Kate, if you have nothing to hide on the drug front, and that's what's keeping your daughter, that it's killing you inside to not be around her, go take a drug test. Like, offer a drug test to Jade to prove that you're not on drugs. Like, it's really that simple. You'd get your results very quickly, and you'd get to have your daughter back, because you wouldn't be able to hold that over your head. And so the fact that that was never brought up is really quite telling. All he said to his friend was that, oh, like, it sucks that this is happening. He doesn't deserve it. Stay-at-home dad. It's gonna hurt their daughter. And like, he just never seemed like interested in getting a lawyer or getting a drug test or anything like that. And I feel like someone who knew that they were innocent of what they were being accused of would get a lawyer and would submit to a drug test like yesterday. Back in Florida again, Briana goes out to lunch with Shirley and reveals that trash-ass Lewis isn't coming to Stella's 2nd birthday. Then she shares her concerns about the bump her relationship with John has taken ever since they returned from the Dominican Republic. Meanwhile, in Delaware, Kale calls Leah to complain about Jo not allowing Isaac to go to Hawaii because 4th of July is his holiday, even though she offered to swap for Christmas. She also reveals the fact that now that it's like a legal situation, because, you know, she can't technically legally leave with Isaac, MTV is not going to be able to film her for the vacation, just because like it's a huge liability for them. And she assumed that like they wouldn't film Leah either. And so you could just tell like she felt a certain kind of way when Leah was like, oh, I'm still filming in Maui, boo. I thought that was kind of funny. And so she mentions like the consequences that she could face for making the decision to take Isaac without his father's permission. And so she's like, you know, I could be facing jail time, I could be like charged a fine, but like if I have to risk jail for my son to go on vacation to Hawaii, that's what I'm gonna do. And like, it was just such an Amber thing to say. It's like, this is so first world. This is so freaking ignorant. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people in this world who wish and pray that they could spend extra time with their children, but they can't afford to because, you know, they're working like 2 jobs or whatever, or like working for so freaking long just to make ends meet. And here you are thinking of going to jail to take like days, weeks, maybe months away from your children just so they can go on their millionth vacation and just so they can go to freaking Hawaii. Who is gonna raise your baby while you're in jail? You don't have any family. The dad, you only allow him to have supervised visitation. So like there's that. And then what's gonna happen with your other kids while you're away? Like obviously that's gonna take an emotional toll on them. And sis, you are gonna get clowned in jail for being so damn dumb. Like really, you think you're being noble with all of this? Like get the hell over yourself. And then she's like, I don't know why Joe would want to ruin his vacation. Well, actually it's an oversight issue on your part, and it is not the first, and I don't even think it's the second time it's happened. So no, Joe isn't ruining anything. He's only putting his foot down over, you know, what seems to be a reoccurring problem with you. Did anyone else cackle like a witch on Halloween morning when MTV closed her scene with like the clink clink sound, then the jail bars with a Hawaiian lei around her neck? I was like, you guys are so shady. Like you don't even try to hide it. Anyway, John does come to Florida to hang out with Briana and the kids, and he tells Briana that he wants to move down there sometime next week. Then Jade's mom drives Khloe to see Shawn. The visit goes super duper well. I was kind of like taken aback by them feeding that like very small child nachos and soda. I was like, is that normal? Like, did they give her anything else to eat? Interesting. Now the scene ends with Kail. So we are back to Delaware again, and she leaves for Hawaii that night. So she puts on some janky ass prison braids in preparation for going to jail when she returns. Guys, what was with the tinsel and the extensions in there? Like it looked like ready to drop at any second. So she's talking to her friends about the situation and all the consequences she can be facing, and she admits to asking Isaac what she would prefer doing. Like, would you rather come to Hawaii with your mom, Isaac, or would you rather go to your father's cookout for 4th of July? Like, why are you putting your child in the middle of the beef you have with his father because you cannot follow a schedule properly? Like it is not fair to him whatsoever, and it's just such a ridiculous thing to do. But again, classic Kail, she's always like that. The conversation wraps up, and so she packs all the kids in the car and then heads over to Joe's place to pick up Isaac. And Joe's playing ball with somebody, it's some kid, and doesn't even pay her any mind when she says hello. Like she just, you know, exchanges a child and goes on about her merry way. My thought when I was watching the scene was, Joe, you are not gonna talk to her. Ooh, that is petty. But when you think about petty, like Kail, in my imagination, if that were the case where Joe was coming to pick up Isaac to go away for a month, knowing that it was a holiday that she wanted, I feel like Kail would have been waiting there with him with minimum 2 police officers, printed out texts about how he's gonna be going to Hawaii to be like, look, he's kidnapping. If you let him go with this child, this is kidnapping. I swear to God, it's kidnapping. Ow, he's hitting me. PFA, kidnapping and PFA. Let's get both of these wrapped up. Like, I feel like she really would have put him through the ringer. So she's lucky all she got was ignored. Nothing really came of this. I think Joe was trying to put his foot down, but she ultimately just wound up doing her own thing anyway. She did ultimately end up going, like she never went to jail. And I guess, I don't know, hopefully Joe did end up eventually taking the Christmas, and like she made good on the promise of allowing him to have Isaac for Christmas. But you know, we won't see for another couple of months. But in the meantime, you guys, that's a wrap up of what went down on Teen Mom 2 Season 9B, Episode 28. But as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you think about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. Okay, so if you're interested in how date number 2 went with a guy, we went out yesterday. We went to a place called Ward 14 in Ottawa. It was like a cute consignment bar, and it went super duper well. We're planning for date number 3. Guys, can you put me up on game on what you're supposed to do on date number 3, what that's all about? I haven't really play the game like this. Typically when I'm dating, it's a guy that I've been oblivious to who had been into me for a while, but this is different because I met the guy on Bumble. So it's like both of us kind of going in blind. So I'm not quite sure how this date number 3 situation is supposed to pan out. So please let me know all of your advice. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.